Can I welcome all of you to this, the latest edition of the Sunday Supplement. It's really great to have you all here with us at 10:30 on Easter Sunday. Can I say a big thank you to all of you who have been contributing some video selfies. It's great. Can you please keep sending them to us? That way then the Sunday Supplement is your programme and it's not mine. Let's spend some time now worshipping God. Firstly, we're going to hear from Rob, and then I'm going to give us a thought from the Bible.
Strength, my song, this cornerstone, this solid ground, far through the fiercest drought and storm. What heights of love, what depths of peace, when fears are still, when striving cease, my comforter, my all in all. Of Christ I stand. In Christ alone, who took on flesh, fullness of God in helpless babe, His gifts of love and righteousness, scorned by the one He came to save, till on that cross, as Jesus died, the wrath of God was satisfied. For every sin on Him was laid. Here in the death of Christ I live. Body laid, light of the world by darkness slain, then bursting forth in glorious day, up from the grave He rose again, and as He stands in victory, sin's cursed has lost His grip on me, for I am bought with the precious blood of Christ. No guilt in life, no fear in death. This is the power of Christ in me. From life's first cry to final breath, Jesus commands my destiny. No power of hell, no scheme of man can ever pluck me from His hand, till He returns or calls me home. Here in the power of Christ I stand. No power of hell, no scheme of man from His hand, till He returns or calls me home. Here in the power of Christ I stand.
Early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the entrance. So she came running to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one Jesus loved, and said, "They've taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they have put Him." So Peter and the other disciple started for the tomb. Both were running, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. He bent over and looked at the strips of linen lying there, but did not go in. Then Simon Peter, who was behind him, arrived and went into the tomb. He saw the strips of linen lying there, as well as the burial cloth that had been around Jesus' head. The cloth was folded up by itself, separate from the linen. Finally, the other disciple who had reached the tomb first also went inside. He saw and believed. Mary, Peter and John all look inside the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea. They all see exactly the same thing. They see that Jesus' body is no longer there. The tomb is empty. But what is fascinating is that they all come to a different conclusion as to why Jesus' body isn't there. You see, Mary says in John chapter 20 and verse 2, she says that they have taken the Lord. They have taken. Who is the they that she's referring to? The they are probably either the Roman or the Jewish authorities. You see, as Mary goes into the tomb, she looks around and she thinks, well, the only logical conclusion here as to why Jesus' body isn't here is that either the Roman or the Jewish authorities have moved or stolen the body. Maybe you are a Mary. Maybe as you hear Christians claim that the central fact of Easter Sunday is that Jesus has risen from the dead. And as you think about that, you think, well, the only logical conclusion about that is that actually Jesus didn't rise from the dead. All that happened was the Jewish or the Roman authorities either stole or moved the body. The only problem with this theory is that firstly it was a capital offence to interfere with dead bodies in any way, and secondly, Peter, who we're going to go on and think about in a moment, you see, Peter, he stood up in front of those same Jewish authorities and he said to them, but I've seen Jesus with my own eyes. Now, if I was the Jewish authorities at that point, who themselves were pretty fed up with the fact that actually, as a result of Jesus being crucified on a cross and lots of people saying that they had seen Jesus, I would have just simply produced the body. But they never did. And that brings us now on to Peter. You see, Peter in Luke chapter 24 and verse 12, we read that he goes into the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, and as he looks around, he's bewildered. He thinks to himself, I can't make any sense of this. It doesn't seem to stack up. He leaves the tomb and he is still thinking, still trying to work it out. You see, maybe you're not a Mary. Maybe you're a Peter. Maybe you're sitting there this morning and you're thinking, I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm still working it out, still trying to understand how Jesus could possibly have risen from the dead. And then there's John. You see, we read about him in verse 8 of John chapter 20. You see, John goes and looks into the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, and we're told that he sees and he believes. So he sees that Jesus' body isn't there, and then he believes. But what is it that he believes? You see, I think the penny had dropped for John. You see, as John looked inside the tomb, I think that he suddenly understood the key truth of Easter Sunday. You see, John, Peter and Mary would have believed the following. What they would have believed was that when they died, along with many other Jewish people at that time, they would have believed that when they died, their bodies, their human bodies, would have decayed, but their souls would have gone up and taken residence in heaven, a sort of waiting room. And what they believed was that at some point in the future, their souls were going to be, if you like, rejoined with their resurrected body. they were going to be raised into their resurrected bodies at some point in the future. And I think that was the point. The penny dropped for John. John got it. He suddenly understood that when Jesus had said that he was going to destroy this temple and raise it in 3 days, that he wasn't talking about a physical temple, he was talking about his body. That Jesus, it suddenly dawned on him that Jesus had been raised into his resurrected body. He was the first person in history to do this. And that is, if you like, the central truth of Easter Sunday. So can I ask you, are you a Mary? As you hear about the Easter story, as you remember it again, as you hear Christians claim that Jesus has indeed been raised from the dead, do you think, well, that's unbelievable? The Roman or the Jewish authorities simply moved the body. Are you a Peter? Are you still confused? Are you still perplexed by the whole thing? Or are you a John? Do you believe that actually Jesus was raised into his resurrected body on that day? And that those of us who know and love the Lord Jesus Christ, all of us have got that to look forward to. Amen.
I just wanted to share with you how I've been visualising my thoughts and prayers over the past couple of weeks in lockdown. I've had a lot more time to read my Bible, which has been a joy for me. And I've just felt to write out some of the passages to send words of encouragement to people at different times. I've also used this kind of writing method for my daily prayer, and it just helps me to really focus and to think of all the different aspects that I need to be praying about at the moment. And I also use this method for my weekly encouragement for the little ones toddler group, just to encourage them. And I did a small video, so I'll share some visuals with you now.
We've been asked to share a few thoughts about when the coronavirus came to visit the Downing household. It was George who was first unwell. He, the last week of term before the schools closed early, he had a couple of friends that were exhibiting symptoms of a high temperature and a bad cough. And so we kept a close eye on him. It was a couple of days later that he woke up feeling unwell with a cold, and I really did think it was just a cold. He did say he felt very weird and strange, and then lost his sense of smell and taste. And that was then that I realised that he probably did have the coronavirus, and that I followed soon after abruptly with a lot of symptoms, including a high temperature, nausea, vomiting, a thumping headache, aches and pains, and extreme exhaustion. I was quite unwell.
Yeah, I was particularly concerned about Kath because it's so unlike her to stay in bed most of the day, and she had quite a few days where she just physically could not get up, and she would wake up in the morning incredibly hot. So I was concerned. I soon followed with chest pains, terrible headaches, pains in legs. I've never experienced anything like it, but again, coming through lovely. Wes and Joash are still not well, especially Wesley at the moment. They are coming through, but we've had such peace through the whole process. Joash just threw a wobbly one evening. We had a good chat and a pray with him, and he's been fine since. So, yeah, we're coming through. Thank you.
Yeah, we do really feel covered in prayer, and we didn't share with many people what we were going through, but those that did know were praying really hard for us. And I particularly want to thank Bob and Yvonne for really every day praying through every symptom and every person in this family. And even when I started to improve and then go downhill again, they weren't having it, and they were very effective in their prayers, and we very much appreciate them. But we do really feel that God has protected us and is healing us, and we're very grateful.
So, shortly before the lockdown, my mother fell and broke her hip, and following surgery and a short recovery period in the RUH, she has come to live with us.
She's classed as being a vulnerable person, but even so, we're finding it very hard to arrange for a supermarket to deliver us because we've never done internet shopping for food before. However, the local shops that I've used for many years are being very good and are delivering food to us.
We've turned our dining room into a bedroom, and following current advice, our downstairs cloakroom is now solely for the use of my mother. Apart from meals, we're having to supply quite a lot of personal care. Also 4 drug rounds a day, which includes an injection, and which would, under normal circumstances, would have been done by a visiting nurse.
We're feeling blessed in so many ways. It's great having our son at home with us, and we're having a bit of normality in our lives because of that. Every morning we have a cup of coffee and all play Uno together as a family, which is great fun.
Last week, if you remember, I encouraged us to be doing some prayer walking. I wonder if you did that. I wonder if, as you took your daily exercise, you just took an opportunity to pray for those people around you, to pray for the businesses up and down the high street. This week I want to encourage us to be praying for 3 specific things. The first is to be praying for those in authority. The second is to be praying for our families. And thirdly, to be praying for those people who are in isolation, and particularly for those people who are on their own. If you'd like to join us for the weekly prayer meeting, we are going to be meeting on Bank Holiday Monday this week. All you need to do is to look at Rob's e-news for the Zoom video conference entry code.